What's up, guys, and welcome back to Invariance.Poker podcast number 10. Today, BJ is rejoining us for another interesting podcast, and today we actually be talking about investing and where you should put your money in this current environment because everything's going crazy right now. Nothing makes sense. So we're going to start sharing our ideas and see where we could go. So we'll let go, BJ, start with.
All right. Thank you guys for all the feedback. I've heard a lot about, making the episode short so can people actually listen to it in the car or, when they have just a few minutes to listen to a podcast. The idea about investing in poker, because we see it all the time, there is people that actually win big, like let's say today, you walk away from the table, $2,500 win. The next day, you see it a lot that they will come back and lose the same amount of money or maybe more. This happened to me many times in the past, and I've seen it like times and times again where like after a big win, you come back the next day and you lose it all or you lose more. So the idea of investing is to take some of that money and put it toward like your favorite stocks, your favorite crypto. There is other ways to invest, not to keep it in a savings account and absolutely not to keep it cash at home, because with the inflation rate now, I feel like the dollar is really worthless. Like it's getting to the point where it's really not worth it to keep the money at home.
No, because every month, right now the published rate every month is we're at almost like 6%, over 6% monthly inflation, which is crazy. So every month, but that's just what the data that's being published. But if we look at the food prices, it's going up dramatic. Not even 6%, it's going up 20%.
Exactly, and not to mention that these wholesalers or whatever, they cut down from their profits. So obviously they haven't raised the prices yet. So we're gonna see that in all the stores that we go into. If you even been to Dollar General lately, you would realize that their prices are not $1 anymore. That everything went up in 2021. Like you can tell that the prices are going up in the shelves. So definitely you have to have your money make you money somehow. So in your case, I know you have, you've been investing in stocks, you've been investing in crypto. I've seen you running up accounts in crypto where you would day trade in, which I don't suggest any listener to day trade right now, because it's a lot of work and definitely there's a lot of swings. Yeah. So in your experience, I know you took like a 4-figure account to like close to 6-figure account. So I've seen it, done, and I've seen the work that you put in at the table. I've seen you many times. I passed by the table and you're like literally not even paying attention to the game, but like on your phone the whole time. So how did you start in day trading, and was it what you thought it would be at first?
So 2021 was the first time I actually day trade, and I got into crypto because of the volatility. And I had a script where it told me the buy and sell prices. So I set my buy and sell prices, and I just went with it. And then the reason I chose crypto was because of the margins, where you could go on Kraken, you could go 3 to 5x margins, and on KuCoin you could go 10x margins.
That's a big gamble. That's definitely a no to fresh investors. That's not what you want to do, because you can lose all your money technically in one trade. Right.
So then you have to. I created a strategy where I didn't invest in my money. I took it because I have a background in sports betting. So what I did was, I set this amount where this is the kind of like a bet. Either it's going to go zero or it's going to cash out. So then I rolled you could say YOLO bet the amount. And then, of course, this is when crypto is going up, everybody makes money, right? And so it's very easy. But the problem was that when you tend to I got caught up into the action and the greed. So then I went bigger and bigger. And then the problem with crypto is that it's 24 hours, so you cannot stop. So there were times where at 3 a.m, you have these just manipulated tanks,
especially on the weekends.
Correct.
It happens a lot.
So then it happened where I just kept losing these bets, and like it's going up, and then I just went to sleep, and next thing you know, I get this alert, and bing, I lost it.
Yeah. So that's what these banks and these hedge funds are actually doing. So mostly they are targeting the people that actually set the limits. So if you see there's that shoot down, like crypto will go, let's say Bitcoin just went from 40,000 to like, it would jump to like 30. Like literally you will see like a spike down and then it will go right back up. Right? It will go back to like 35 or 36. So I've seen it many times to where these hedge funds, they will get together, they will tank the market. So these people that put in a limit sale on their crypto, so they can lose money. So obviously we've seen it many times to where you're 10x or there is some exchanges that will allow you like 100x, which is literally like you can put 1,000 and they will allow you to trade with 100,000. The only issue with that is like the margin is so small to where if it dipped just a little bit, let's just say even it dipped $10, if Bitcoin dipped $10, you lose the whole 1,000. So definitely you're gonna have to get in, to be super lucky to get in like where Bitcoin is going up, like shooting straight up. That's the only way to make it, right? So you've seen those swings. And obviously you got tired of it, right? Because here's the thing. They say investing is always better than day trading. Like people who invest will do better than day trade. So obviously you quit that because it's too much stress and stuff like that, and you start investing, right?
Yeah, because poker, I also practice mindfulness at the poker table. And what I caught myself doing is I'm constantly looking at the phone, and now I'm not practicing my mindfulness at the poker table. And then this feeling of greed is starting to rise up, and I started catching myself, And then there was one day where I had a $50,000 bankroll on Kraken, and I just lost it within a few days because of the manipulation. I just went all out. So then I asked myself, what's my end goal here? What am I trying to do? If I make all this money, I'm still going to be sitting here at the poker table doing the same thing. Why am I being greedy? So then I stopped trading and I went over to investing. But I never invested in stocks ever in my life before. I've always been a startup person. My money is always going to ideas and startups. But then that January where I ran into Gamestop, and that was when everything changed, where I started researching everything into GameStop. And now anything that I have excess capital outside my poker bankroll, I've plowed all into GameStop because I think this is the end game here.
So for people that don't know, so GameStop is one of the meme stocks, meaning it's like a momentum stock. It could go up like 10x or it could go down a lot. So why do people pick GameStop to start with?
So personally for me, because I understand the gaming, like if you listen to my podcast in the first one, the second one, my background in 2008 I was into Second Life, which is a virtual world. So I understand, I had a bank, I had a real estate business. So I understand gaming, and I know that gaming is the future. So, and then I look at GameStop and I see where they're going. But people look at GameStop like last year and even to now, they think a dying brick and mortar. But what they don't see is that GameStop is positioning itself into a technology and financial company, especially with blockchain technology now, that GameStop could actually be, and if you look at some of the breadcrumbs, they're about to release an NFT marketplace. So, and that alone is gonna be an explosion.
So that's a whole another word for the NFT people. Could you explain what NFT means?
NFT basically is a way to stamp a serial number on a digital asset. So then any digital asset becomes you could say a rare or unique item in itself. So when I was in 2000, when I was Second Life, I had all these houses, all this land. Of course, none of this, and my daughter played Roblox. So, but then all these assets have no value because they could be replicated and duplicated. So, but once you NFT an item, that item has a specific serial number now. So then that item can be traded across different platforms. So back in 2008, my house and my clothes and all my avatars that I spent thousands on, had no value. But today, it would actually still have value, and I could actually sell it to other people and retrieve my money, or because it's a rare item, I could hold on to it and wait for it to go up. Same thing with my daughter's Roblox. All her houses, all her skins, and all her avatars. Right now, I've wasted all thousands of dollars, and she's not using it anymore. had it been NFT, I could take that and go into a marketplace like OpenSeas and maybe later on GameStop marketplace and sell it back and make money.
So here's to the, let's just say I'm your average investor. I mean, this sounds all stupid to me right now, right? Because I don't know a lot about investing. If you tell me that to invest like 2,000 or if I don't have that much money, if let's just say I could afford investing $200 a week. I mean, obviously the GameStop shares are too expensive. We're looking at $150 a share, which to the average investor, I mean, it's too high. How would I invest $200 a week if that's all I could afford right now?
So the way I would look at GameStop is you don't have to buy one share. That's the problem with a lot of people. Like they say GameStop's too high, but you could buy fractional shares. So, but before we say this is not financial advice. This is just our opinions and thoughts. So if you go with it, don't blame on us if you make or lose money. We're just giving you our opinions.
Absolutely. We're not financial advisor. We're definitely gamblers.
Yeah.
So that's what my question is. How would I make money if I can only afford like $200 a week?
So if you're a believer in GameStop like me, then you could buy fractional shares. So it doesn't matter really how much shares you have. It's how much equity you're putting in and your rate of return on that equity. So whether you buy let's say 0.1 GameStop share, which is $15, or you go buy 2 AMC shares, which is about $60. So or half of AMC shares with about 15. So then it's relatively the same thing. It's how much you're putting in and your rate of return.
So obviously the way you're investing in GME and my investment in GME, which I have 6 figures invested in GME, are completely different. You're looking at it from like the long-term perspective, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's more of the short-term. There's a lot of hedge funds that are shorting the stock to the point where it's so weird on the financial market how they're doing it, but you can obviously borrow the stock over and over and over again and short that same stock. Shorting it meaning like selling it to somebody else and trying to buy it back whenever it drops in value. So to me, I feel like this could be like a multi-million-dollar stock, or investment, if the right scenario happened. So there is ways to actually research all this stuff. Where did you start researching about GameStop?
It all started in Reddit because right now it's hard to trust anything. If you watch mainstream media news, is the stuff they say is very counter to what I'm reading on Reddit. And I don't trust mainstream media anymore. And even Reddit, you still have to know how to dig through all the BS and actually find quality information. But it's very hard. But that's why I have spent like every day I spend about 4 hours on Reddit just combing through and reading information. But then the key is that you gotta go into the comments and read the comments, because then you will know what's legitimate information versus just a bunch of shield information.
So 100% Reddit is my go-to place to research stuff. You can actually go to your favorite topics and they will have like the best rating. Like you could see how many people they rate them or like thumbs up, and you can actually tell that's a good DD, meaning deep dive. So
due diligence.
Or due diligence. So we usually like, you know, in the Reddit community, we do a lot of that, and a lot of it is not even good, right? So there's a lot of banks that actually infiltrated that, a lot of hedge funds that
they call shields.
Exactly, what we call shields. So how would you like trust what you're reading? Why did you say like the media, you don't trust the media?
Well, it's hard to just narrow it down, but the way I filter my information is I look for something that's backed up by data, and then I look for peer reviews, because that's more important. And the more peer reviews you have, then the more qualified the information is. Of course, data can be manipulated to convey different information, so that's even harder. So, but because I have a background in startups and I understand technology, then I'm able to filter out bullshit a lot easily. because I can see business plans and business strategies and ideas a lot more clearly than most people.
So to me, I don't trust the media because a lot of articles that come out are mostly done by people that actually got paid from some of the hedge funds or some of the banks, to write like a negative article about, let's say, Gamestop or AMC or like one of the meme stocks. So you see it time and time again where like you see a lot of positive articles coming down and all of a sudden, the stock is actually dropping. So now you can see all these positive stuff on the news, but the stock is dropping, and vice versa. You can see like before all these meme stocks, they had to run up in January or in last April. It was the same thing. It was so many negative articles. If you turn on, CNBC or you turn on like any channel that talk about investing, they're really, try to drag it down. But obviously it was that run up where it ran up to like 300 or 400%. So to you obviously you did your research, you read the research. So, but the average investor that wanna, start like small and they don't have time to put in on all that much research, would you go with crypto like Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum, or would you go with like blue chip stocks?
So here was where I would, it depends on your risk tolerance or your willingness to gamble. I went all in on GameStop because I see where it's going to go. I think it's going to be one of the biggest companies in the world. I think gaming is going to be where we're headed because if you look at just society alone, like we're being pushed into, like you could say, a matrix where, hey, stay at home, everybody separate, and then you log into your own computer and you interact in this metaverse, which is where I see the future going. Because I've done it in Second Life where, I've seen people get married, I've seen people have relationships, I've seen families, and I've seen houses where people actually come home and log into their house and just go parties and everything in Second Life. So I see that world coming to fruition right now. So I'm all in GameStop, but a lot of people still find it hard to believe. So then I tell them, okay, well, something piggyback off of GameStop, which is Loopring, because Loopring, if you look at their codes, which was leaked, they actually had the codes actually linked to GameStop. And when back in October I posted this, Loopring was around 40 cents, and then all of a sudden, once their code got leaked, it jumped up to $2. So right. I think, and then you wonder, well, that's just still kind of theoretical. But if you look at the technology of Loopring, what they're coming out with is called Layer 2 wallet, or it's kind of counterfactual wallet, which is basically to eliminate the gas fees for all these NFTs. And not only that, but they're offering what you call on-ramping and off-ramping. And on-ramping is basically allowing you to use your credit card to buy crypto, which is right now you could say the barrier to entry for the mass market because it's hard to get crypto. So by Loopring offering this, they're going to be one of the first ones to on-ramp the mass market, and then that's where the NFT explosion will come in.
So definitely Loopring is one of those projects that just started. We can see, like, I'm deep in Loopring too, so I invested a few thousands in it, and I really feel like that could be like a project, like a 20x project, like a 100x project, right? So it all depends about, like they say in the financial markets, they say, buy the rumors and sell the news, right? So we haven't seen any news yet coming out of, GME or Loopring or how it's going to be adopted in the future. So there is other small project where you can actually invest like very small, and they're still, either they're about to come out or they're like still at the 20 cents to 40 cents range. Like, how would you pick which project you would invest in, especially when they're that cheap?
Well, cheap is relative, right? Because you basically, like we said, you're investing into your equity, and whether you buy one coin of Loopring or a percentage, a small coin of Bitcoin, is still the same. And it's just basically what you expect the rate of return is. So I haven't looked into any project, but what I would look into if I were to research is I would look into, for example, anything that's kind of like Ethereum or Cardano or Solana, where basically you're having the blockchains where wallets and NFT marketplaces are built upon that, because I think like if I wasn't investing in Loopring, then the safest thing I would think would be Ethereum, because you have all these DAO and all these other wallets that's being built on top of the Ethereum blockchain. So that to me is the safer bet. But even then, here's the problem that I have with investing in crypto right now is that nobody knows about Tether. Like Tether it could pretty much, if they look on the, I believe just the transaction volume of all the coins versus Tether is just blowing away all these other coins in terms of transaction volume. And then we ask, what is behind Tether? And nobody knows. But if I did my research correctly, what's going on right now is Tether originally started off as a real stable coin, right? Whatever the amount of coin they have the same amount of dollar reserve. Then it went to 1-to-1, and then it went down all the way to like 3%. And now it's not even dollar reserve anymore. It's bonds and equities. And then you look into it. Okay, what kind of equity backing is this Tether? And then some people are linking Tether to these Chinese bonds, these like Evergrandes and all these real estate bonds that's about to blow up and default and destroy the entire Chinese real estate market. And nobody knows this, and nobody has asked a tough question. What is Tether? I mean, who's backing up Tether? Who's printing all this money that's pumping up the entire crypto market right now? And then what happened if the Chinese bonds default and then Tether loses value? Then what happened to the crypto market?
Well, that's the difference between your savings account and the crypto market, right? So your savings account is FDIC insured. So even if the bank defaulted, which they don't care to who, you put your money in a savings account and your bank is gonna loan that money to somebody, right? So to you really don't care about, who's gonna get your money, right? Because you know that you're insured. In crypto markets, it's a little bit different. So let's say the exchange where, your Tether is, and they loaned it to this institution or whatever, and they defaulted in it, there is that chance that you could lose all your money, right? So that's a risk that you're actually taking. But for people that have money in their savings account, how much, first of all, how much do you keep in your savings account and why? And the rest that you're investing, like, where are you going to put it? Like, if I wanted something like a little bit safer, we're gamblers, right? Yeah. So we're going to gamble, I don't want that 0.1% on, it's not even 0.1%. It's less than that in your savings account. So literally you don't get no money leaving your money in your savings account. So I've seen it that a lot too, where now most of these poker places, they have lockers, and some people have like 50, 60 to 100,000 in their locker, which is technically their bankroll. But at the same time, why would you want to keep it in a locker? Why wouldn't you want to invest it?
For me, I have an economics background, so everything has an opportunity cost. That money that's sitting in that locker at TCH is losing money, because that money could be put somewhere else that could be earning money. So to me, that's losing money, even though you're not losing money, because that's from an economist point of view. From personally, like, what my recommendation is, unfortunately, right now, if you look at the entire market, nothing makes sense. And unfortunately, like, there's nothing safe out there, and then we're just all screwed in the long term, unless we just pick the right one. And my gut instinct is GameStop is the only safe harbor right now.
So to you, I know the markets are not regulated. Like, the crypto markets are not regulated, and the stock markets are not, because we see a lot of manipulation day in and day out. We've seen stocks that going up for no reason, like there's no good news coming out or bad news coming out, and you still see that fluctuation where a stock will just drop or like nosedive to like 15-20% in a day. So exactly that there is some type of manipulation that's going on. So there's really nothing safe, right?
No, like even technicals right now, like all the charts and all the technicals, it just doesn't make sense anymore. Like, people doing all these technicals, and they're wrong. Like, you can't even depend on technicals anymore.
That's 100% correct. So, all these, these people that have been trading for decades, they can tell you that that sometimes they will see like a trend, or they see like there's like a selling pressure or buying pressure, but the stock will react to it differently, right? So to me, like they say, you know, and you've heard this a lot, that you want to keep 6 months worth of your living expenses in your savings account. So for most poker players, we know that's not true. We know that we will gamble, we'll go down to zero, right? But there is a way to keep that from happening, you know, so a part of your money, you want to invest it, whether you want $200 or $300, you know, extra that you have in a session, and you can put it in somewhere else. I don't think it's going to affect it much, because most of the time you see those swings for 1-2 players where they win, you know, $2,500 a session. So if they take 200 or 300 out of that money and put it somewhere, you know, if they come up to a bad swing the next day, at least they're not losing the 200, 300 money. And that can make money in the long run. So, but for people that have like decent money and they want to put it somewhere, my to go to is Tether, right? So you get sent, there's some exchanges there. There's some where you can actually stake your coins, and they will give you like 7 to 8% a year, right? So I would rather deal with that, the 7 to 8% a year, than leaving it just in my savings account. So everybody's risk tolerance is different, but specifically, let's just say I take more risks. So to me, that's fine. If I lose it, that's fine. But to you, like, how would you invest it? Like a small amount, right? That you're gonna have to put in every week. Let's just say for months. Let's just say $200 a week. Where would you put it? Like I said, you're saying GME. You could buy fractional. Some people out there will tell you like, well, GME is too high. I don't want to invest in something that's $150. I understand that what you're saying, that, you know, I could do a fractional, but I feel like that's not good return. I don't want to just put it in one share, 1.25 shares a week, right? So how would you diversify? Like, if would you go right now with crypto, or would you go with stocks? So obviously we discussed Loopring. So now we're discussing either Loopring or GME. You know, to you, if you're a fresh investor, what would you do?
So I would look at the leadership. So then in business right now, you can't depend on the technicals anymore. So then you got to go on the fundamentals, which is the business ideas and business project and the leadership. And then if you look at the leadership team of GameStop, they've been on a hiring spree where they pretty much poached the top guys of every big company, from Amazon to Apple to Chewy to I think Zuli or something. So if you look at their leadership team, they have a badass leadership team now. And then you look at their vision, NFT. Like, if you have to be a believer in NFT to buy into this, and I'm a firm believer in NFT, because it basically the world is going digital, and we need digital assets, and so digital assets is going to be the main thing. So NFT is going to be the main thing.
So to the average investor, you know, they might not understand what NFT, and they might not. There's a lot of risk involved, right? And to tell someone that you're gonna, you know, buy a land like inside your computer somewhere, it's just like, it's not, you know, comprehensible to most people. So, like, why not a stock like Tesla?
Well, because it's hard, because those, like, the stock market, nothing makes sense anymore. Like, why does this SPY keep going up to all-time high when nobody has money? Everybody's going broke. Things are more expensive, and we have supply chain issues. We have a production issue. We have all kinds of issues. Why is the SPY going up? Nothing makes sense. So there, I don't trust anything. And then you can say Tesla. Well, I don't know enough about Tesla, but so then I cannot diversify. Whereas I'm gonna just pick one, and I'm just gonna be confident in it. And I think the future will just, you have to do your research, and you have to kind of dig in. And of course, like you said, a lot of people don't understand crypto. I mean, NFT. But then a lot of people don't understand crypto back then. When in 2009, I've actually recommended some people buy Bitcoin. Of course, I didn't do it myself because I took my money and did a bunch of startups. But the technology is still there, and they have to understand blockchain and it's just and decentralization, which is the reason we have all this issue right now is because everything is centralized, right? Banks and politics and everything is controlled by a group of people. So the solution to this is just break everything apart and decentralize everything. And that's the way GameStop is going as well.
So to me, if you're an average investor and you just want to start, definitely start with Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's definitely, there's the potential there. And this is the mistake that most new investors do. So they don't want to buy when Bitcoin is going down, right? You hear like a lot now when Bitcoin hits the all-time high, you will see like a lot of people asking questions. They're more interested. They want to know what's going on. But when it dips to like 30,000, 35,000, they're not interested at all. They're like, well, if it went from like 65,000 to 35,000, how do I not know that it's going to 5,000?
So, so then that kind of relates to we could use extract poker as an example. Is that a lot of people, they operate with hindsight. They look at things that already happened, and then they may make their move. Just like poker players, oh well, they play this because they already seen other people do it. Whereas a good poker player plays with foresight, the ability to see things before it happens, and then act upon it so that you could capitalize it when it does happen, right? By the rumor, sell the news.
Right.
So then, in order to capitalize on, you have to have foresight into this, and you got to be able to see what's going on. And I just think that if you look at everything's going on, like we're going towards blockchain and crypto, and you got to look at what company is going to be at the forefront of all this. And if you look at right now, OpenSea is the marketplace that everybody's exchanging all their NFTs on right now. Yes. And I think they're just annual $50 billion revenue company, and they only have about a few million users. GameStop has 50 million power-up users ready to enter into the marketplace. They're just gonna blow anybody that comes into the market away.
So I feel like a lot of investors are not ready to make that jump, because now you're trying to buy an NFT, which you really, there is a high risk, and like for the rare ones are so expensive, right? So first of all, we have to discuss how you buy NFTs, because you cannot just buy them with dollars, right? So you have to have Ethereum to buy NFT. So
well, that's where Loopring is going to solve that problem, because now you could on ramp with your credit card, buy Ethereum right onto your wallet, and then just go buy the NFTs. But I don't recommend anybody buy NFTs right now because the market is still new. Just like back a few years ago, all these ICOs coming out, and people started buying all these tokens, ICOs, and they got caught into the hype. Well, the technology still hasn't flattened out yet, so that we know what's going to happen. Just like right now, NFT is still too new. We don't know the use case for it yet. Like for example, the best use case I could see for it is the entire new stock market, where every stock is represented by an NFT. Because right now, when you buy stock, you don't actually own it. You just own it in your broker's account, and even then, it's not registered under your name.
Definitely, yeah.
That's why
unless you're registered on the
DRS, right? So that's why this concept of DRS is coming out. But even then, what if we had a NFT marketplace for exchanging stocks, so that every company can issue their own stocks in the form of NFTs that is exchangeable through the markets. And when you buy that stock, you actually own that stock right into your wallet, and then you could transfer. So there's no longer a middleman between you and your friend. Hey, I got a GameStop share. You got an AMC. Let's trade it. We just trade right back and forth, and we just pay gas commission fee through the marketplace.
I really think if you want to gamble right now, to look into NFTs. I started investing in Bitcoin in 2015, whenever it was in a range between $400 and $600. And at that time, it was still like a new concept to me. I didn't know if it was going up or down. And it was a little bit of a gamble that I took. I knew nothing about it before I started investing in it. I didn't know how it worked or how much money I was going to make or lose. But I knew that the value was just going up like every day technically. So we had a high of 15,000, and then it went from 50,000 back to like 5,000. So now it's like you're going like, do I want to sell now or do I want to wait? Like, when do you actually sell if you have like a certain stock? You can keep holding it forever. And obviously we're gamblers. I mean, you're gonna go and downswing, and now you want to cash out. So what is the best time for you to cash out?
I don't have an answer for that, because for me personally, everything that I put in is pretty much locked away from my daughter, because I live a very simple life. I don't have any jewelry. I don't have any expensive things. I can barely eat anything because I have a very good strict diet in terms of, for my yoga practice. So I can't have, even if you give me all this money right now, I wouldn't know what to do with it besides just drown myself out in pleasure, which is counterproductive of what I'm trying to do, which is restrain myself from all this desire for pleasure. So I wouldn't cash out. So it's hard for me.
To you is, the money that you're investing right now is like a 401k, because as a poker player, you don't have that option. You don't, I mean, you could start your 401k, but it's not like you work for a company where they match it, they match your 10% or whatever you put in. So to you, you're looking at it from a long-term perspective, right? But a lot of people, they don't have that kind of money to where they can put aside, like, let's say 10% of your, winnings or whatever. So if I go on a downswing and I want to sell, what do I start with? Let's say you have crypto, you have stocks, and you have Tether, right? So do you start with that Tether or?
So Tether, I would not hold Tether, because it's just basically, Tether is just a means of transaction. I would not hold Tether. But from what I was not a fan of Bitcoin because of all the transaction and the lag. But now with the layer 2 technology coming out, so then somebody's going to start building a wallet of layer 2 Bitcoin to reduce the transaction fees. So I would, because Bitcoin...
That's what Ethereum is doing right now. They're about to come out with layer 2.
Layer 2, right. So that's the pretty much the game breaker in terms of like mass adoption. So I would, if I were to go not hold GameStop, I would hold pretty much Bitcoin and Ethereum, just because everybody has it. It's easy to move around, and you could buy and sell it. Any poker room, you go to a poker room right now, you could just pretty much buy and sell Ethereum and get cash.
Definitely, and anywhere in the world, actually. Mentioning Bitcoin, did you know that WSOP Europe, that you can actually go to the main event and buy in with Bitcoin instead of cash? So it's going to facilitate transactions a lot. So when WSOP start taking actually Bitcoin versus cash, you can tell how easy that would be for me not to carry with me like 20 or 25,000 WSOP. Some people carry like 50, 100,000, and with the wire transfers, it's so difficult versus where I could just literally like buy in with just a quick transfer.
Yeah, and that's pretty much, I think that's where we're all heading towards. It's just decentralized currency, and that's if you're a conspiracy, I guess, or we won't say conspiracy theory, we'll say fringe knowledge person who look onto the really wacko, really far out there ideas. Well, all these countries are in a race to inflate their currency to the point where it's worth nothing, so that they could just maximize this last boom before fiat currency goes out and digital currency comes in.
I absolutely agree, because you can see countries are moving away from gold now, and you can see there is countries actually start adopting Bitcoin as a currency, right? So we had one South American country that already did. If you might, there are some people that would say that a lot of government are against it. Like, they might ban Bitcoin.
Well, they can try, but eventually technology is going to take over. If you look at like El Salvador right now, basically they're a country that they're basically positioning themselves to be a Bitcoin country. So they're already El Salvador were going from a dirt poor country now to be one of the technology hub in South America, just because they're adopting the technology.
And they're still buying Bitcoin as it's going down. Like, you can see like a lot of even institutions that are adopting Bitcoin. So a lot of, even if you're not into Bitcoin, if you don't want to gamble with Bitcoin, there's actually some ETFs or some stocks actually that you could buy, some companies that are holding Bitcoin. There's one called Microvision that actually I'm invested in. MicroStrategy, I'm sorry. MicroStrategy that I'm invested in. There is a few, right. There is a few other. You want to do your research. The best place to do it is the Reddit, but definitely do a little bit of research and invest in it at the same time. You have to invest your money. You cannot just leave it in
I think one way or another you have to get into the blockchain and crypto sphere, because whether you hold some crypto or whether, like, the reason I got into GameStop is because they're into crypto. So it's not a direct way of entering into the market, but it's an indirect way. But it's a safer way because you're piggybacking off of company, and so that whatever technology or sphere they go into, well, you're going to enter with them. And you just have to trust the leadership. And if you look at Ryan Cohen, and then
that's a great example.
Ryan Cohen, and then you look at Larry Chang, who was a VC. He was part of Loopring, or I think, and Matt Flintstone. They were on Loopring, and they jumped over to GameStop. And then the final one, the CEO of GameStop, is Matt Furlong. He was I think he was the CEO or the top guy of Amazon Australia, where he doubled the revenue in year over year, and he just left Amazon. He could go anywhere he wanted in Amazon, but he left Amazon to run GameStop, and they took mostly equities. They didn't go and take a big pay package. They left a big pay package to get equity into GameStop. These guys aren't stupid.
I think there's a lot of companies that do that too. Like a part of your pay is actually, stocks. So they don't take all that pay cash, but a lot of it is investing in the company where they're working at.
Yeah.
That way, it would deter them from working for, other hedge funds, for giving away information, important information of the company to other hedge funds that could use that against them, or other institutions that could use that against them. So two other things that I get asked a lot, and a lot of poker players are talking about all the time, and it was a big thing but start fading a little bit, and it's Dogecoin and Shiba. So yes. So tell me why are all these poker players are talking about this stuff? I mean, we don't see it a lot now, but why was it like that huge wave?
I'll give basically my answer to that is the masses are asses. It's like sports betting. You hear one team, you hear on the news on some team do well, and then people talk about it, everybody talk about it, and everybody's going to have the same information that everybody else is because they pass information along. Then nobody actually did any research into these coins. Like, I never done any research into these coins. I just hear about Shiba, and from what I understand, they're actually building technology, and they're not just a shit coin anymore. But I don't know enough about it. I don't know who's behind it. I don't know what technology. So before you started following all these masses and walking off the cliff with everybody else, you should actually look deeper into like the fundamentals of these coins, and then see if the technology and the leadership is actually there, and we do not just buy into hype.
So a year ago, 6 months ago to a year, Elon Musk was a huge Shiba, Dogecoin. Yeah, right. So he was a huge fan. Him and Mark Cuban, right? And they definitely, you can see how they can manipulate it, because every time they tweet about it, like, you can see a huge spike by like 20%, 25% in a day. So obviously you cannot do that in the stock market because there is consequences, right? And I'm sure his legal team told him not to be doing that anymore. But there is a lot of other projects that are very small, but we hear a lot about that rug pull, right? To where you hear a lot about it, all these shills and stuff like that. They discuss it, and it's all over the news. It's all over Reddit. It's all on, if you have Webull, you can go to the comment section, and they promote it so much, and then all of a sudden it will just drop down to zero. So how do you stay away from these whenever you actually read and read the comment section, and you will see like so many people are positive, about one of these projects? How do you stay away from that?
I just stay focused and just whatever I've done my research on is whatever I like first is I'm gonna do my research.